Over the last 25 years I've driven lots of different kinds of cars, most of them a little bit quirky or interesting, but one thing that's never interested me are supercars. A lot of people dream of one day owning a Porsche or a Ferrari. I've got a dream about cars, but it's a lot more down to earth. I've always dreamed of owning a car where every single switch in the car was filled up and it didn't have a blanking plate on it. You know, when you buy a car further down the range, you get these little blanking plates that show that you could have had something there if you'd have spent more money, but no, it's not on your car. Well, when it came time to upgrading my Toyota IQ to my new Mini Cooper S, I went crazy with the options. I ticked virtually everything that I could find, and as a result I've managed to get every single switch in the car filled in. So I've managed to realise one of my dreams. I've even got the built-in sat-nav system, which is something I've always wanted on a car, and that's controllable by this little thing. If I could write with my left hand on that little pad, which I can't. We've also got the adaptive cruise control, the lighting pack, but the best thing that I added, and the thing that's interested more people than anything else, and people have asked me to make a video about this, is this little piece of tinted plastic that's stuck up in the middle of the dashboard. Now, if you don't know what this is, well, on a normal Mini, your dashboard looks like this. This option gives me a heads-up display. When I turn on the engine, it pops out of the dash and the display is reflected off that little piece of tinted plastic. And the idea is to take some of the information away from your dashboard or the center console and put it in front of you so you can still see the road as you're driving along, as well as seeing the information on the heads-up display. So for example, if you programmed in your sat-nav system with a location, the turn information turns up on the display in front of you.
Please take exit 26 on the left and then leave the roundabout at the first exit.
The full map is still displayed on the screen in the center console. This just pulls out the information that the driver needs as they're driving along and displays it in a simple way.
Now turn left and continue to follow M58 towards Liverpool.
If you link the car via Bluetooth with your telephone, you can also see your contacts on the screen, and you can scroll up and down these using the arrows on the steering wheel. I can't show you those because everyone will just dial the numbers that they see, but it's very similar to how you change the radio stations. As you can see here, I'm paging up and down the radio stations and I can just select the one I want. Now, the graphics on this are really nice. The information that it shows you when you come up to a junction, especially very complex junctions with multiple lanes and you have to stay on the left or stay on the right, the graphics are really good. One thing you probably can't see too well though on this video, because it's been very hard to film this heads-up display, trying to find somewhere to put the camera and get it all in focus. You might see it flickering a bit or a little bit blurry. I can promise you that it's rock solid, pin sharp, and it's a really good display. So other than your speed, sat-nav instructions, telephone contacts and radio stations, this can also show warning information. For example, here it's showing that my door's open and it shows which one as well. And if I walk away with the keys, it's a keyless entry system, it warns me about that. And if I open the boot, that shows up as well. There's all sorts of warnings can pop up on the screen here in front of you, meaning you don't miss them. However, even if you could do none of those things, the fact that it can show my current speed and the speed limit of the road that I'm driving down, that would be reason enough for me to buy this heads-up display. You can see now I've just driven into a 30 zone. Now, how does it know that? Well, the car itself has a camera all the way up behind the rear view mirror. That camera constantly looks out, and every time it sees a speed sign at the side of the road, it puts that information on your heads-up display on the left-hand side. So it always remembers the current speed zone that you're in. So if you ever have one of those anxiety moments when you're coming up to a speed camera and you're thinking, am I in a 40 zone now, or is it a 50? Because I don't remember seeing a sign. Well, the car will have read the sign and it shows it on the left-hand side. It's an excellent feature and it works brilliantly. Now, because I've had to zoom in on it in this video to demonstrate it, it might look like the text is a bit small or perhaps it's even distracting, but I can say definitely from a driver's perspective it's very clear, easy to read and doesn't distract at all. In fact, it stops distractions because it means I don't have to look down through my steering wheel at the speedometer or down at the sat-nav system. All the information's there in front of me and I just have to glance down very slightly while still being able to see the road ahead. However, if you don't like having a heads-up display, you can switch it off with this little switch and it will put it away. The car itself is designed to pop it up when you set off and put it down when you turn the engine off, but you can manually move it up and down as well. Now, if you don't like the settings on it, you've got a few options here. If you go into this, you can see on the heads-up display options, I can adjust the brightness or the height. Different height people will need the reflection slightly different, although there's 6 inches between me and the missus and we can both see it in the same position. But you can also decide what's going to show up on that display, so you can take the ticks out of these things if you don't want any of that information to show. But you'd be a bit daft. It's unobtrusive, it's very useful, and as far as I'm concerned, I wish every car had this feature. Whenever I drive a car now that doesn't have a heads-up display, it feels like I've gone back 10 years. Now, of course, the Mini isn't the only car with a heads-up display option. There are a few cars out there now, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more over the coming years. So if you do find yourself in the fortunate position in the next few years of being able to specify what features you're having on a new vehicle, I definitely suggest giving the heads-up display a tick. After all, you're not going to be paying for it all at once. It'll be over a few years. It'll be a couple of quid a month. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it'll all work itself out. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.